she was faithfully sitting, admirable and full of charms, the noble son, who like him can compare with Anne and Enlil. Heia put the holy semen into her womb. Nizaba faithfully gave birth to her. She brought her up in her home and suckled her at her breasts full of good milk. The young girl burgeoned. She became full of flourishing beauty. In the home of Nizaba, at the gate of Izagan, she stood, the object of admiration, like a tall, beautifully shaped cow. At that time Enlil had not yet been given a wife in the Eker, and Enlil's name was not yet famous in the Kier. After traveling through Sumer and to the ends of the universe, he, in his search throughout the land, Enlil, the great mountain, stopped at Eris. As he looked around there, he found a woman of his choice. He approached her, and overflowing with joy, engaged her in conversation. "I will make you perfect in a queen's dress. After standing in the street, how impressed I am by your beauty, even if you are a shameless person." In her youthful inexperience, Sud answered Enlil, "If I want to stand proudly at our gate, who dares to give me a bad reputation? What are your intentions? Why have you come here? Leave from my sight." Others had already tried to deceive her, and it made her angry. Enlil answered Sud, standing close to her, "Come, I want to speak to you. I'll have to talk with you about your becoming my wife. Kiss me, my lady of most beautiful eyes. The matter rests in your hand." But the words had barely left his mouth when, right in front of him, she went into the house. The heart of the wise lord pounded. He called for Nazca. "What is your wish?" He gave the following instructions to him. "I want you to go back to Eris, the city of Nispaba, the cities whose foundation are august. Do not delay. Repeat to her what I am going to tell you. I am a young man. I have sent this message to you because of my wish. I want to take your daughter as wife. Give me your consent. I will send you presents in my name, my marriage gifts. I am Enlil, the descendant and offspring of the Ansar, the noble, the lord of heaven and earth. The name of your daughter shall become Enlil, and all of the foreign countries shall worship it. I will present her with the Gagesua at her storehouse. I will give her the Kier and be her beloved private quarters. She shall sit and live with me in the Eker. At the august dais she shall determine the fates. She shall apportion the divine powers among the Anunnaki, the great gods. And as for you, I will place in your hands the lives of the black-headed people. When you get there, let the woman I have chosen for her beauty, her mother, do not go to her empty-handed, but take her some jewelry in your left hand. Waste no time. Return with her. Answer quickly." When Nazca, the head of the assembly, had received Enlil's instructions, he wasted no time. He directed his steps to the Eris. He entered Izagin, the residence of Nisaba, and prostrated himself before Nanibagal on her dais of Enlil, and she asked him. Then Nibagal went on speaking flatteringly to the minister. "Advisor, fit for his king, ever observant, who like you could give a counsel daily to the great mountain? Who could I contest the king's message which his slave had received? If there is truth in what you have told me, and may there be no falsehood, who could reject one who bestows such exceedingly great favors? Makes our mood and hearts happy. Let us consider what amends have been made. By bringing the marriage gifts and presents in his name, an insult is wiped away. Tell him, you shall become my son-in-law. Do as you will. Tell Enlil the great mountain. Do as you wish. Let his sister come from her side, and shall accompany Sud from here. Aruru shall become Sud's sister-in-law. Let her be shown the household. Inform your lord thus in his august Kier. Repeat this to Enlil in the privacy of his holy bedchamber." Nanibgal called and gave her advice. "My little one, asleep indoors, you're pure, the pleasant private quarters, leave the house of Nansaba's wisdom. Nansuka is knowing and wise. Go to Enlil, to his presence, and pour him beer." According to the instructions of her mother, she washed his hands and placed the tankard in his hand. The minister opened his left and gave her the jewelry, everything, and set it before her. She received the gifts. He directed his step to Nibiru and kissed the ground before Enlil. "The great lady has said, as she has instructed him," he repeated. "Advisor, fit for his king, ever observant, who like you could give counsel daily to the great mountain? How could I contest the king's message which his slave had received? If there is truth in what you have told me, and may there be no falsehood, Who could reject one who bestows such exceedingly great favors? Make our mood and hearts happy. Let us consider what that amends have been made, by bringing the marriage gifts and presents in his name, and insult is wiped away. Tell him, you shall become my son-in-law. Do as you wish. Tell Enlil, the great mountain, do as you wish. Let his sister come from her side, and she shall accompany Sud from there. Aruru shall become Sud's sister-in-law. Let her be shown to the household. Inform your lord thus, and his august keeper. Repeat this to Enlil in the privacy of his holy bedchamber. This made Enlil feel good, brought great rejoicing in Enlil's heart. He raised his head. The animals came running, herds of four-legged animals that grazed together in the desert. He caught them living in the mountains. He made wild bulls, red deer, elephants, fallow deer, gazelles, bears, wild sheep and rams, lynxes, foxes, wildcats, tigers, mountain sheep, wild buffaloes, monkeys, and thick-horned fat cattle jostled together noisily. Cows and their calves, wild cattle with wide-spread horns, ewes and lambs, goats and kids, romping, large kids with long beards, scratching with their hoods. Lambs and majestic sheep were dispatched by Enlil towards Eres. Large cheeses, mustard-flavored cheeses, small cheeses, milk, Swedish dry honey, and white honey, the thick and large, were dispatched by Enlil towards Eris. Dates, figs, large pomegranates, geeper fruits, plums, hubbub nuts, almonds, acorns, Dilmon dates packed in baskets, dark-colored date spodices, large pomegranates gathered from orchards, big clusters of grapes of high, trees and fruit, trees from orchards, grown in the winter, and fruits from orchard, were dispatched by Enlil towards Eris. Oris from Harali, the faraway land, storehouses, rock, crystal, gold, and silver, the yield of the uplands, heavy loads of them, were dispatched by Enlil towards Eris. After the personal presents, the transported goods, Ninmah and the minister, the dust from the march reached high into the sky like rain clouds. Enormous marriage gifts were being brought for Nanabgal to Eris. The city was getting full inside and out. It was to be replete. Nanabgal, the mother-in-law of Enlil, the woman who had been slandered, was treated kindly by Nazca. The lady disregarded the flatterer and spoke to her daughter. May you be Enlil's favorite wife, the wife of Enlil's heart. May he speak to you sweetly. May he embrace you, the most beautiful of all, and tell you, Beloved, open wide. May the two of you never lose the pleasure of excitement. Make it last a long time. You two have intercourse on the hill and have children afterwards. When you enter the house to live there, may abundance precede you, and may joy follow. May the people line up for you wherever you go, and may all the people prostrate before you. In the fate I have determined for you shall be fulfilled. Go with head held high to the Ema. Aruru grasped her by the hand and led her away to the Esma. She brought her into the Eker, the house of Enlil, and in the sleeping quarters, in the flowered bed like a fragrant cedar forest, Enlil made love to his wife and took great pleasure in it. The Lord, whose statements are great, the lady, Nintur, the lady who gives birth, Aruru's countenance, he presented her with everything. Enlil spoke. From now on a foreign woman shall be the mistress of the house. May my beautiful wife, who was born by holy Nisaba, be Izina, the growing grain, the life of Sumer. When you appear in the furrows like a beautiful young girl, may Iskar, the canal inspector, be your provider, supplying you with water from the ground. The height of the year is marked with your new prime flax and your new prime grain. Enlil and Ninlil procreate them as desired. The harvest crop raises its head high for the great festival of Enlil. The scribal art, the tablets, decorated with writing, the stylus, the tablet board, reckoning and calculating, adding and subtracting, the shining measuring rope, the head of the surveyor's peg, the measuring rod, the marking of boundaries are fittingly in your hand. The farmer, the woman, the proudest among the great princes. From now on, Sud, you will be Ninlil. A holy song of praise, Enlil and Ninlil.